I have been thinking about this question a lot about the future of classical music, possibly even before I knew I was. And I think when I decided I was going to be a composer, man, this was in the late 80s. And I was still in high school, growing up in Berkeley. Believe it or not, I was studying Russian. And this was the time of Gorbachev and Perestroika, and the wall had just come down. So for a young mind, this was my political awakening and sensibility towards the larger world. One of the reasons why I decided to go into music instead, that music was going to be my sharpest sword in stepping forward, was that I didn't see a lot of women and I didn't see a lot of Latinas in the field. And I grew up loving classical music, as well as música andina, Andean music from Peru, which is my mom's home country. And English is my first language, but it was always against the backdrop of Peruvian food, and then listening to klezmer music from my dad's side, who's a nice Jewish boy from the Bronx, and then eating also Chinese food, because my mom's part Chinese, and so that's what she cooked in Peru. And to me, that was so distinctly American that only in the United States would you get somebody like me, born in a hippie campus town, that of Berkeley, California, who's partially deaf. I grew up with a pretty serious hearing loss, that can write symphonies for a living. That's incredible, combining cultures. And so I think the future of classical music is recognizing that while we have European roots, and wonderfully so, that it can encompass and invite so many different viewpoints. And I have lived my life that way. In some ways, I felt like I've been living in the future through my music, and more boldly so as I stepped into my middle years. So a few years ago, 2 years ago, I started a music academy based on this vision, and I invite emerging composers. Many of them are jazzers. Some come from non-Western cultures and don't read or write music fluently, and we get them tutors so that they can write their music down. I want them to embrace notation, and they write string quartets, and they write pieces for Jessica Rivera, was a mentor at my academy, for instance, art song in the operatic medium. But they're bringing in their diverse background because they can do that here in the United States. It's harder to do that elsewhere. And I think that's the beauty of being here in this country. And I think classical music, the future, must reflect who we have been for a very long time. It's been here for this long.